Now they're both 7-6. Now these Carolina Panthers, they control their own destiny.
Yep.
They're in a great position to win the NFC South. And after they beat the Saints, 2 of their last 3 games are against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Remember who told you this. The Carolina Panthers will win the NFC South and make the playoffs.
Well, just when you thought you had seen and heard it all in the National Football League, the Indianapolis Colts are out there looking to save their season by contacting a grandfather to be their quarterback. It's the second week of December, and that is where we are in the NFL. This is Flutie versus Stegall. It's your weekly picks and analysis show. Doug Flutie, has your phone rang lately from anybody?
3 calls, I was ready to go, and then I found out it was flag football and not no, you can't pay me. I always said I have one drive or one hit, whatever comes first. And if Phillip Rivers wants to get back into it, if he gets hit one time hard, we've seen all these injuries with quarterbacks throughout the league, up and down. It's so hard to stay healthy as you get older. God bless him if he gets back in there. It'd be fun to watch.
He hadn't played in 5 years.
5 years. 5 years. And that was my thing. And Doug, if I'm correct, you played till you were, 43, correct?
43.
But you didn't take 5 years off.
No.
You didn't take 5 years off. You kept playing. And Phil, like you mentioned, hadn't played in 5 years. I mean, he has a kid as old as Riley Leonard, the guy who they want in there. He's a grandfather. And God bless his soul. But the Colts, I can't believe they're going in this direction. I don't understand.
I believe in Tom Brady if Phillip Rivers can go out and move the football and see what's going on and know that the game's it's going to feel fast to him again because he hadn't seen it at fast speed. But the physical skill, throwing the ball, I can throw a ball well into my 50s, but the rest of you doesn't move. You know, you just your quickness, your twitch, it gets more and more difficult. And when you get hit, it just jars everything. You know, when you fall, I play old man baseball. And I just semi-dove for a ground ball and went to the ground, and I just rattled my cage from top to bottom. I felt it everywhere. So, he's got the head for it. He probably still has the arm for it. Yeah. But it's going to be really fast.
You know the reason why I think he's doing this. He's trying to get a break from them 11 kids he has. He has so many kids. He just wants to get a break for a couple of weeks.
He does have 2 litters of kids. I mean, they're running all
2 basketball teams, 10 kids. So.
Well, consider me to be your babysitter, you two. The good news is Milt and I still have our quarterback. Flutie versus Stegall. Your weekly NFL picks and analysis show. As always, we are powered by Bodog. I'm your host, Arash Madani. Over 1 million of you have invested your time in our show. We are grateful for all of you for making Flutie versus Stegall one of North America's fastest growing podcasts. Please like and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Now, if you're new to the show, every week we don't open talking about grandfathers potentially returning to football. But Milt and Doug do drop their picks. We also talk about NFL storylines while the guys share their locker room stories. Now, early in the season, head-to-head on their picks, Stegall was running away with this thing. But here comes Doug Flutie. Milt was 1-2 last week. Doug 2-1, which means Milt is 25-14 on the season. Doug, you're 24-15. You're right there, man.
No,
I tell you what, especially, and it's so funny too that and I've said this each of the last couple of weeks. As soon as Milt does his picks, I want to change mine, and I want to go. I'm sold, Milt. I'm sold. We talk about it all the time. Fine line between winning and spread and the last plays of the game. And he had an interception on the goal line that the guy's quiet. I was going to throw him the ball. Throw him the ball. Milt's 2-1. Game over. Things happen. I mean, J.R. Hoots decided to turn the ball over 100 times last night. You know, so things happen.
All right. So Doug Flutie has come to us from outside of baseball fields. He's come to us from cruise ships, but now he's in his home office. Whereas a few weeks ago, he had the old school chalkboard show. Right. Now he's modernized to the whiteboard. He's got his Sharpie out. He's got the whiteboard out. For those of you watching on YouTube, you'll see the diagram. On Spotify and Apple, if you're listening, Doug's bringing out the whiteboard, and there's something that's been bugging him watching football this week.
You know, NFL offenses always say, and I've butt heads with offense coordinators my whole career. The overload blitz coming off the edge over here. All right. This overload blitz, there he is. Coming off the edge. Right. He comes in unblocked. Receiver snaps off his route. Quarterback from under center is trying to get him the ball. Through an unblocked guy. Buffalo Bills jump up, pick off the pass, take it for a pick six. All right. And that was more of an RPO type of situation where we had a run call. The guy came free off the edge, so the receiver just pops and turns and tried to get him the ball. Joe Burrow tried to get him the ball. Kind of right. On the short throw, you can't line drive it. You got to touch it up and over and try to throw it less than 10 yards. It doesn't happen. I always like to drift away from that and throw backside on an out route because you know the rotation. They know you're going hot. This safety rotates down. That one goes over. The corner goes back. This guy always has off coverage. Just throw the ball to the weak side away from the blitz. Quit throwing the ball through people and trying to finesse it to him where you know the backer is scraping to get to him. The safety is running down full speed at him. It cost him. It was the play that put the Bills back in the game.
So what happens in that scenario, Doug, is that the quarterback just gets too fixated on the receiver that he wants to get the ball to out there in the flat, that he's not kind of scanning the field? What happens there?
What happens there is you're reading your pass protection, okay? Your pass protection, you get an overload blitz. So now you have a free rusher coming at you. So the guy on that side sees, yes, two guys blitz, there's an extra rusher. I got to break off my route and turn hot. You, as a quarterback, have to get him the ball quickly before people are breaking. They know they're blitzing you from that side. They know who the hot guy is going to be, and they're breaking full speed to blow him up. I liked knowing the rotation's going that way. I'm going to throw back to the other side because that corner is going to give ground and be off. I got a one-on-one route. I'll just drift away from the unblocked guy and throw always had a quick route on the opposite side or on the weak side of the play.
Milt, what did you see from the play?
Well, the offensive coordinators I've had in both leagues and even in college, they always preached throw into the blitz. They always preached that. That's what Doug was talking about. But I liked Doug, his explanation of why he drifted back and decided he wanted to throw away from the blitz. As you mentioned, Joe Burrow, he threw into it. It was tapped up, and it was, a game-changing play. And I don't know, I don't know why offensive coordinators always preach that. And quarterbacks, I guess it gives them a sense of security because they can see the guy blitzing at them and they can get rid of the ball or avoid the guy. Because if you turn away from that guy, you don't know how close he is to you. But it's still a difficult situation, and it definitely cost my Bengals. It maybe cost them the game.
See, I always put that extra, especially in a 3-by-1 formation with the X receiver on the weak side. The single side receiver, I either put him on a quick slant, even when you're in shotgun, a 5-step post, right? That skinny post, right, or speed cut out at 10 yards. And you, being in the gun, could still make that throw all the time, even if there was an unblocked guy coming strong side, and he's always one-on-one when there was a strong side blitz. There is one blitz in all of the NFL that this doesn't work, and that is Sam Will blitz zone 2, where the corners roll up, and then you throw it away. If you happen to fall into that one time in the whole year, okay, you threw one away. But what part of the equation the other day was that Joe Burrow was under center on that particular play, which made it even more difficult.
Yeah.
It just, like, on the surface makes no sense to throw into the teeth of the defense, throw into the teeth of pressure, and yet you're coached to do it. It's wild.
They say it's because there's a vacated area and you snap it around and it's there, and you have your eyes on the blitz. But being a short quarterback, that was very, very difficult.
Right.
Well, our X's and O session is presented by Doug Flutie, but let's get into this week's picks. For Stegall versus Flutie, we're powered by Bodog. All right, so I find this matchup to be intriguing in prime time. Milt, you like the Steelers to cover at home against Miami. Yep. Pittsburgh's a 3-point favorite. But the Dolphins have won 4 in a row. A win away from being 500 at 7-7. I refuse to announce their actual record because I just get it.
6-7.
Miami's rolling. They haven't really played anybody. But Milt, what'd you see from Pittsburgh in that win over Baltimore that has you convinced they're back?
Well, what has me convinced that Pittsburgh is going to win this game is game time temperature Monday night in Pittsburgh is going to be 18 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And we know what these Dolphins do when it's below 40 degrees. They usually lose the game. It's usually not close. Tua usually plays a horrible game. Pittsburgh had a great game. Aaron Rodgers had a bounce-back game, most yards he's thrown for this year. He connected with his receiver. They did a great job. But more so than anything, it's that game time temperature. And we know those Dolphins, historically, they don't play well when it's cold.
Dolphins swim to the bottom of the ocean and get warm.
Yeah. And Tua drowns, and they have been getting some decent quarterback play out of him. I just wonder, watching all of this, does Mike McDaniel survive all of this at the end? Like, he was gone. He was dead man walking a month ago. And now after this, do they run it back in South Florida?
That's it. They're almost, if they could continue a run, which Milt, and I believe I'm right there with you on this one, Milt, that they're going to lose this week. But if they put a run together, they'd be in the playoff picture.
Yeah.
So he would survive. Even just getting into that conversation with a week or two left in the season saves his job. The way they've played, the way they bounced back, I still wasn't. I'm not sold, but it's just the weather. And you get to this part of the season, the weather is a big part of the game, and the teams that are built to handle it, the teams that run the ball well or physical, seem to come to the top.
Well, Pittsburgh's built for it. Aaron Rodgers knows cold weather football. Milt likes Pittsburgh over Miami. What could be the game of the week is in Denver. The Broncos are now playing for home field throughout the entire playoffs. And Doug, the Red Hot Broncos, they're catching 2.5 points home to Green Bay. It seems like Bo Nix and Sean Payton have really found some secret sauce. And Flutie, you're rolling with them this week.
Yeah, I've grown to really like Bo Nix throughout the year. Like early on, I didn't even know he existed. And then I started watching him, and then I like his toughness. I like the last 5 minutes of the game, the way he plays football, the way he turns it up. They're playing in Denver, and that's no joke. Playing in Denver, cold weather, yes and no. But playing in Denver, I started thinking back. I never won in Denver. I played, I don't know how many games. The altitude is a real deal. The conditioning is a real deal. It gets a little tougher. Offensive linemen get tired. Defensive linemen get tired. Conditioning becomes a big part of it there. I just think Denver playing at home, it's a good bet.
The altitude does what to a player? Is it more towards the end of the game that you lose your wind, or is that something that bothers you throughout?
I think it bothers you throughout. Milt can talk as a wide receiver. As a quarterback, it wasn't a big deal to me. Where I noticed it was when I was in Calgary, or I was playing in British Columbia, and the first time I went to Calgary to play, and I started doing my scrambling and running, I was sucking when I'm down on a knee. Like, this is ridiculous. It's a real thing. And when I would condition in Calgary and come back and run road races or what, it was like piece of cake. So it's a big deal.
So Doug likes Denver to cover against Green Bay. What a win it was for the Packers to knock off the Bears last week. I'm still trying to figure out, the NFC North is a gauntlet. The NFC South may be the most bizarre division in all of football to try and figure out. Here you had New Orleans knocking off Tampa. We were talking about Baker Mayfield midseason about maybe being NFL MVP. The Bucs can't get out of their own way. Now it's Carolina against New Orleans. And Milt, you like the Panthers, who a couple of weeks ago knocked off the Rams. They're a 2.5-point road favorite, and you like Carolina to cover.
Yeah, I like Carolina to cover. And I like the fact that they saw New Orleans beat Tampa Bay, and now they're both 7-6. Now these Carolina Panthers, they control their own destiny.
Yep.
They're in a great position to win the NFC South. And after they beat the Saints, 2 of their last 3 games are against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Remember who told you this. The Carolina Panthers will win the NFC South and make the playoffs. I'm calling it right now. Like I said,
I love your bold predictions, Milt. Go get
it. They saw those Saints knock off Tampa Bay and say, hey, we're in the driver's seat now, and we're not gonna relinquish this position. They'll beat the Saints. They'll beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of those 2 games, maybe both, but they'll definitely win the NFC South. I'm calling it.
Doug, I wonder if you're Bryce Young. Here you are, the young quarterback, taken with the top pick in the draft. Everything had kind of gone wrong early in your career. And now here's this opening. And now here's this chance. And there's less than a month to go in the season. What can this do for a young quarterback? What can a run like this do for the trajectory of his career?
It's a big fight between, does confidence build success or does success build confidence? You have some good things happen. You start feeling confident and you start expecting good things to happen, and it just snowballs and you start playing well. I agree with Milt on this one, and Carolina winning this game. I think he's starting to gain his confidence, which is, and I don't know. I got asked that question a number of times by coaches. It's like, does the success build the confidence, or does your confidence help you be successful? And it's chicken and egg, but I always felt you had to have good things happen for you on the field. It's like when negative things happen, it gets tougher and tougher.
Yep.
The short memory of the mistakes. So yeah, Milt said it. They're in the driver's seat, or they have control of their destiny now. They've got the games with Tampa ahead. Tampa's not playing well, and you start to believe, and that is 75% of the deal is believing you're going to do it.
Well, here's what can give you belief and confidence if you're the Rams. You just put up 45 points on the road this week in a bounce-back win after losing to Carolina. Doug, LA's at home this week. It is Detroit. It's Dan Campbell and the Lions coming in. They're laying 5.5 points. But you expect Stafford and company to keep the foot on the gas.
As ugly as it is to watch the Philadelphia Eagles offense and passing game, it is a thing of beauty watching the Rams sling the ball around. Stafford's throwing ball. I mean, this is your textbook drop back pass game. 2 phenomenal wideouts, putting the ball in there on seam posts, up the seam, go routes, deep corner routes, crossers, from the pocket, turning it loose, in rhythm, on time. None of this RPO crap and getting on the corner and rolling in half-field reads. It's a full-field read. So I love watching them play right now. From a passing game standpoint. I was the kind of guy that I had to do the running around and the scrambling thing because of my height and all that. But this is big-time passing game. This is watching Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, you name it. The big guys standing in the pocket, the Troy Aikman days of throwing it down the field. And it's not the nickel and dime stuff. So I love watching them throw the football. And he's got 2 receivers that can dominate the game.
Yeah, Stafford to me is the NFL.
Real quick, Arash, just real quick. The only reason I'm concerned about the Rams in this game, because next week they play the Seahawks. Are they looking beyond these Lions, looking forward to playing the Seahawks next week? Because both of those teams are 10-3. The Seahawks play the Colts. They're going to crush the Colts, so they know they're going to win that game. Are the Rams looking beyond these Lions right now, looking forward to the Seahawks? That's my only concern for this game.
Detroit also coming off an extra rest. They played the Thursday night game against Dallas last week. They'll be coming on a long week. Let's wrap with this, because both of you are on the same side of this game, which I am so intrigued about. 1 o'clock, Foxborough, second week of December, meaningful football in New England, welcoming the Bills. It's an old school AFC East rivalry game that means so much, that matters so much, not just in the division standings, but the overall AFC playoff picture. Both of you like New England after both of you watched Josh Allen do it all by himself last week. Doug, let's start with you. Why the Pats this week again? Why your Pats against your Bills this week?
I love the Bills. I love watching the Bills play. It's so much fun to watch Josh. but they have holes in it. Their defense is not that great. They made some huge plays. Joe Burrow goes back-to-back interceptions. It's the only way that happened. They needed kind of a miracle thing to happen to turn that game around, and it did. I think that from top to bottom, the Patriots are a better football team, and they're more consistent. They've played smart football. They don't turn it over. They play really good defense. They can mix, run, and pass. The Bills' running game, the Buffalo Bills' regular run, not just Josh Allen running the ball, has been better. That made it a lot easier on Josh. But Josh Allen still has to do way too much for that team to win. And the fear there is you see all the injuries around the league. Josh isn't going to get tired or anything like that. It's not a matter of that. It's just a matter of staying healthy. And can he stay healthy through the season? But I believe the Patriots are a better football team right now.
I really feel sorry for Josh Allen because the way things are looking, Hall of Fame, first ballot, but I don't see him getting the Super Bowl. They have so many things they need to change. Secondly, I can't believe that Doug has on the Patriots hoodie. It's usually the Bills, but now it's the Patriots. But that's a different story. But
I still have the Bills helmet on top of the Patriots.
No, Doug, you usually have on the Bills hat. Now you're switching, Doug. You're switching.
Right. It's bandwagon stuff. Go ahead.
Right. But it's time for the Patriots to get their rightful ownership of the AFC East back. They ran it for 11 years, 2009 to 2019. Tom Brady leaves. Josh Allen's in his third year. They rule it for 5 years. But now the Patriots are going to take it back. And when they win this game, it'll guarantee them winning the AFC East. So, hey, it's time for the Patriots to get it back. They have their quarterback in place. They have guys who know the culture there, and Vrabel and McDaniel. They have them in place. So the Patriots will win this game, and they'll be the AFC East champions once again.
All right, so to wrap the picks, Milt likes Carolina by a field goal over New Orleans in the Superdome. On Monday night, he's going with Pittsburgh to cover the 3 against Miami. Both our guys are taking the Patriots to get by Buffalo. That's basically a pick'em. Doug also likes Matthew Stafford and the Rams to keep their foot on the gas, win by a touchdown. And as a home dog against Green Bay, Flutie likes Denver to cover 2.5. The picks, as always, are powered by Bodog. Now, guys, the time of death was at some point on Sunday night. I think they called for the priest in Kansas City when Rashee Rice dropped that 4th down pass. The last rites were probably given when Travis Kelce bobbled the ball that ended up getting picked off. Look, it's the end of an era. It may be the end of a dynasty with this nucleus in Kansas City that won 3 and got to a couple more Super Bowls. The floor is yours on what has been with Mahomes, Kelce, Chris Jones, Andy Reid, and this entire run over there at Arrowhead.
But I think for me, it's been amazing to watch the run of getting to the AFC Championship game every year.
Every year.
That's amazing. I think we're seeing some age kicking because you get injuries. You're not moving quite as well. When you see Mahomes, I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, kind of limping around and not quite being as pure of an athlete as he usually is. Some of those throws were not. He had a 90-mile-an-hour fastball throwing the ball. He'd wind up and throw like a baseball pitcher, and that's not happening because I don't think his lower body is healthy. And then, the last ball, it's a little bit on the back shoulder of Kelce. So that's, he couldn't put it exactly where he wanted to. Kelce, a little older, doesn't turn and maneuver for the ball quite as easily. It gets up in the air interception. The ball that was dropped on 4th down, again, was not perfect. It should have been caught. It was just over here, but it wasn't where he wanted it. Those things, it becomes more and more difficult. I think you're seeing an aging team. They're just not as dominant, and it's been an unbelievable run, something we may never see again.
Yep. Totally agree with you. Great run, but the run is over. I mean, you talk about what they've done. Over the course of 6 or 7 years, they went to 5 Super Bowls and won 3. And as you mentioned, just AFC conference finals every single year. But in my opinion, the only 2 individuals on that team who are untouchable right now, and I know he hadn't played as well he has in past years, is Patrick Mahomes and maybe Chris Jones. That's it. No other player on that team is untouchable. And as far as Andy Reid, does he want to come back and continue coaching where they're basically going to be rebuilding? I know they have the quarterback in place, but beyond that, they don't have much. There are many changes that need to be made. And the question is, are they going to make those changes? Are they going to say, let's try to hold on and see if we can do this one more year? And in my opinion, that's a problem. They need to make some drastic changes. And I know you just can't totally overhaul the team. You can't do that. But they have many changes that need to be made. But as far as my opinion goes, I think that's maybe the fourth best dynasty in NFL history. You got to go with the Patriots, then what the Steelers did in the 70s, and then I got to go with the 49ers, what they did in the 80s, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. So it was a great run, but the run is over. It's time to move on.
Something you said, though, Chris Jones, he came out in the beginning of that second half and took over the game and got them roll. That defense, why not in the first? What happened in the first half defensively compared to? I mean, they just came out and said, "Okay, our offense isn't doing it. We're going to win this game on our own on defense." And Chris Jones was a force.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like, I'm thinking about this whole run and what you guys are talking about. Outside of a little break where Matt Nagy left Kansas City to take the Bears head coaching job and Eric Bieniemy became the OC, it's been the same coordinators, the same head coach, the same nucleus on defense. One of the big issues has been their offensive line. They're signing guys off the street, off the couch, all over the place, etc. But it just reminds you how hard it is to win. I remember covering the AFC title game a couple of years ago, being in Baltimore after they beat the Ravens, and Andy Reid just talking about, man, it's like, it's not just the winning that's hard. It's when your season extends into February every year, your off season gets shorter.
It gets shorter.
And all of that catches up with you when you're on this dynasty run. How wild is this, by the way, just to put a wrap on it? The last time an AFC championship game didn't have a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes in it, you got to go back to 2010 when the quarterbacks were Ben Roethlisberger and Mark Sanchez.
Wow.
That's how long it has been in that Brady and then Mahomes dynasty era. All right, let's move on. Evergreen statement. I think we can all agree that it doesn't matter what year we can say this. The Cleveland Browns are terrible. The Cleveland Browns are hopeless. The Cleveland Browns need themselves a quarterback. But Milt Stegall, could the Cleveland Browns have themselves a legitimate starter? Shedeur did it again on Sunday. Just shy of 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Kevin Stefanski says Shedeur's going to be the starter the rest of the way. What does Cleveland have, Milt, and young Mr. Sanders?
There's something there. There's something there. I'm happy that they anointed him the starter, the rest of this season, just to see how well he plays. And I think going into next season, I think they should anoint him the starter, but there should be a competition. They don't give him the job. I don't think they should go out and draft another quarterback in the first round. I think you go out and get an experienced guy. My one problem is Deshaun Watson will be back. And he's guaranteed, I think, $46, $47 million. So are they just going to give him the job? I don't think that should be the case. I think there should be an open competition with Shedeur being that guy. It's his job to lose. As long as he continues playing the way he's playing, it should be his job to lose when they go into training camp next season.
Yeah, this will be a big offseason for him as far as learning. The number one thing I see in all the young quarterbacks is dealing with blitz, beating it with their arm, throwing the ball. He's playing with so much confidence, though. It's something he's always had, that swagger, and the guys around him feed off of that, and they start believing. Guys are making plays. The stage is not too big for Shedeur. He loves that atmosphere. He loves to be the guy, and he's just loose, relaxed, and playing football. So that's why he's making plays. He still has a lot to learn, and if he can improve in those other areas of the timing throws and everything of that nature, not just being able to be an instinctive quarterback, but the instinctive play is his top. That's his number one quality, is instinctive play. I think, sure. I mean, I can relate to his situation where I was on a bench for a long time and had a chance to play. Things went well, and everybody still doubts you, and you're out there just like, hey, look, we're getting it done. And that's what he's doing right now. So he deserves that. He deserves to be named the starter. Deshaun Watson's got to prove a lot to me before he sees a football field.
Yeah. So, Doug, what's that like when kind of obviously every player has, the quiet confidence that I can do this, but then you finally get your shot, you start to have success, and yet you're still kind of looking over your shoulder. Yeah. What's that like as a quarterback when confidence and belief and all that stuff is just so important, and you go to practice, you don't know if you're getting reps with the ones the entire day.
Yeah, you can go back to my college days where I was told I wasn't a Division I quarterback. And then even at the NFL level, all of a sudden you're on the field. And you know what? It's the same game I've played my whole life. This is what I did. Yeah, the guy's open, throw him the ball. That guy's open, throw him the ball. It's, it's football. And you realize that. And then the confidence allows him to play instinctively. He's going to making plays and all that. And then you walk back, and this is what happens, the film session. You get in, it's what I'm talking about with X and O's and throwing the hot, knowing you're hot over here and throwing through the blitzer to get it to the receiver. I'll just throw it over here for 8 yards. That guy's open. I'll hit him. So when all of a sudden Shedeur goes into film, I'm sure they're criticizing every little thing, and it's not textbook. It's not exactly how it was drawn up, and he grades out subpar or something. There's just guys that can play football and love the big stage, and there's guys that go into a shell, and he obviously loves the big stage.
Yeah, Shedeur and the Browns,
one quick thing.
7.5-point dogs going into Chicago, Milt, this week.
Just one quick thing. I think the worst thing the Cleveland Browns could do in this offseason is change coaching staff. I think they need to keep that same coaching staff, have an entire year with Sanders, and see what they can get out of that. In my opinion, I think that's what they should do.
Now, Kevin Stefanski's been a survivor there. He's been able to. We'll see if they're going to roll him with Shedeur, and also what happens of Dylan Gabriel, who's taken before Sanders in the draft this year. Yep. All right, let's wrap our picks. Milt likes Carolina by a field goal over New Orleans in the Superdome. He's going with Pittsburgh to cover 3 against Miami. The Steelers are at home on Monday night. Both are guys like New England to get by Buffalo. That's effectively a pick'em in Foxborough. Doug likes the Rams to continue to roll. They're favored by a touchdown this week against Detroit. Doug also likes, as a home dog against Green Bay, for Bo Nix and the Broncos to cover 2.5. The picks, as always, are powered by Bodog. What a week. Phillip Rivers went in for a workout for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's bring it full circle. I mean,
did he have his walker?
They always say in baseball, show up to the ballpark any night because you might see something you've never seen before. We're getting that in the NFL this week.
George Blandon, baby. George Blandon. Who remembers?
What they say he went in, he was babysitting his grandson, so he went in with a stroller. So that's the word.
He's got a stroller, a diaper bag over his shoulder.
We got it all. Another show, Flutie versus Stegall. We are powered by Bodog. We thank all of you for making us one of North America's fastest growing football